thinking and actions of government officials. And in the end, if what we have said or done moves them to think negatively or act negatively, it is the state that will suffer. The events of the last few days in Rivers State, you cannot calculate the inefficiency that created. Those 2 or 3 days of problem, you can't calculate it. It was as if government shut down completely. So everybody who had anything to do with, and of course, there is no how people will not have things to do with government. Mm-hmm. You want your papers signed or one thing or the other.
You would have to.
Yeah. All those things did not happen because of the crisis. And that is why people should be careful what they do. Mm. For me, I don't even see what happened as what we should be discussing. We should be looking at what made what happened to happen.
But that is
for me, it is the activities of people like Chief Saragbe and other Rivers people and people who are not Rivers people.
That's why
I started and do things that suggest negativity.
That is why I started with the note of asking, on the note of you trying to clarify how these appointments come and loyalty conversations, because after what happened, we've had before even it happened, when the list of first set of commissioners came and etc. We had people with the reports you would get where people saying all of these people worked with the former governor. Why are they still with this one? Doesn't this one have his own say? Can't he decide? And whether you and I would agree or not, if you go to the streets of Port Harcourt now, it's what many people will tell you. Many people just believe that whoever is there, the former governor had an input. Is that a wrong thing to have in politics, to have an input or a leader or a former leader recommend, like you said, you were recommended by leaders of the party to say, okay, or is it wrong for the governor now to say, oh, I see so people from the past administration that I think I can work with, I'd want them to be in my cabinet as well. How would you respond to people who have the idea that, no, there's somewhere, somehow, someone invisibly in charge of who gets what, who goes where, and who does what? Because that has been the narrative.
Okay, let me answer this way. Before my appointment, I used to be a regular visitor here. And
yes.
I've addressed this matter before. When those first set of appointments were made, I was on this studio and the question was put to me, what I think, and that this is what people are saying. And I said, look, there's one party, only one party, called the PDP that won the election in Rivers State. Mm. And it happens that our current governor, Sir Sim Fubara, emerged through the party process to be candidate first of all, and then eventually won the elections. Now, in making his appointments, when he was campaigning, when he was going around the states asking for votes, these same people were the ones in their various local governments, in their various wards, who put canopies for him to, campaign. They were the ones who mobilized people. They were in government. They were in the former government. Mm. Yeah. So they used the instruments and the energy available to them to ensure that Sim Fubara became governor. I don't know what people were thinking, that maybe he will go and bring some UFOs or people who are not in the party to become his commissioners so that he will satisfy what interests. I don't understand. For example, I worked for the PDP. So, like I said, I'm not the most qualified. But to the extent that I contributed something, and the PDP has what I would call a very effective reward system. They have a way of knowing who has contributed something and saying thank you by way of appointments or whatever. Now, if he appointed members of the PDP, people who worked for and with him to become governor, what is the qualms with that? That's one. Number two is that, let us assume that these individuals have experience, because they have been around even before Simfubara. Of course, before now, he was just a core civil servant. Yes. Now, you can't become governor. If I were him, I would probably do the same thing. I cannot become governor. I'm new in the political turf. And then I bring in other people who are also new like me, who are not experienced, to work with me. That will be setting the stage for disaster.
But people then begin to question whether the people that are with him are really with him or not loyal to him, but loyal to
now fast forward.
Another person.
Now fast forward. He made those first set of appointments and people said all the things that they said. Recently, during my own appointment, when we were sworn in, 5 of us, only one person has been a former commissioner. All the other persons are new people like me. And for crying out loud, even in football, if you become coach of a football club, the first thing to do is it to change all the players and bring in new people to achieve what? You do a combination of old and new players and all of that until you are able to get what looks like a team that can win a match. People who play to the gallery or who listen to side talks may decide to say, let me change everybody. Unless even without necessarily saying that there's any justification for anything. Because I teach management in the university. And I know that there are no wrong or right answers. You only have intelligent, choices. So you make a decision, believing that it will work, putting into consideration all the variables and parameters. And then at the end of the day, if you achieve the result that you expect or desire, people will hail you. But sometimes people with the best of intentions can do something, and then somehow one small blind spot, something you did not consider, or even an act of God can come and ruin what you have done.
So you're saying in
now
other
it
words,
doesn't mean that what you did is not correct, but the outcome is not. So people will blame you. So what I'm saying is that the governor is at liberty, and I think that he enjoys that liberty to decide who works with him and the conditions under which those people work with him.
So you think, because I've had yesterday, for instance, I spoke with an APC chieftain, Chief Amadi, and his opinion was something directed towards the possibility of the FCT minister wanting to have some level of control over the government. And that's why I asked you the question about loyalty and where it should lie for government officials.
And I can tell you that to the extent that Simfubara has not come out to tell anybody that the FCT minister is not allowing him to do what he wants to do or is deciding for him and all of that, it becomes mere speculation. But again, it's not just speculation. It is some kind of orchestrated plan to chaos by people who have been decimated. I told you before that those who don't have any information of government, if you look at it, and I'm hard at Chief Ezekiel and to that day, that is not position in the state. I don't want like hearing people make right to open parties in the state. They don't exist.
Because we know that APC
they don't exist since social corps. Let me tell you why they are. You don't position your house. If you're a pro party, you must have a seat or two. Palette. They don't have, no other has. And national they don't have, no other has. In all the 23 local governments, there's no chairman or councillor that is APC or any other party. So to that extent, why should we refer to them as opposition political
hold
parties?
it there. Just hold it there. Let's take a very short commercial. We'll continue on this line of thought as soon as we return. Use the WhatsApp number 0817-923-0009. We'll be back.
Nigeria Info. We'll be right
in the studio, Dr. Gift Worlu. My name is Ifeyemi Andrew, and the conversation is to be two-sided. We are still touching on the first part of it. We will come to the housing part of it and the plans that government has going forward in that sector, especially with what we see with rents. I'm sure it's something that's in the mind of the commissioner and the government. But many would say with what we have seen in recent weeks, we have to settle certain political issues first, and then we hopefully are now back to governance. But before we get into the housing part of it, let me remind the listener, it is 0809 030 6416. That is the WhatsApp number. So please do well to send in your messages and questions on WhatsApp. You have reactions. You can also do same using the WhatsApp number 0809 030 6416. We're live on Facebook too. Nigeria Info 92.3 PH is the handle on Facebook. Like the page and watch us live from wherever you are and drop your comments as well. Now, let me get back to my guest, Doc. So, yes, we were talking on the line of what was said. My guest yesterday, you were responding to it with regards to, and you said the opposition parties in Rivers State, no opposition. You described them as social clubs in your term, and you were trying to explain why it's that way and what. So if you can continue on that train of thought first.
Yeah, so
let's conclude that.
They are opposition, they are social clubs until they
in your view?
Yes, in my view.
Because they are registered as political parties to the best that I know.
When we are talking for development, it's important that people should understand. You know, don't forget that in this country, our laws also make for delisting of political parties. A political party that fails to be able to achieve, at a certain threshold, can be delisted. Because it becomes a waste of time and energy and everything dealing with
so
such
suggesting
a party.
that parties in the state
Maybe at the state level, no, because APC after all is controlling the center. But assuming that it was something done at the state level, those parties should be scrapped because they have no use. What they have become now are troublemakers, because they are angry for not winning. And when you talk about APC, for example, since 2015, that 2000 sometime around 2012, 2013, APC was formed.
Coming to
and then we had 2015
in
election.
State.
They lost. 2019 they lost. 2023 they lost. Right? And it's not just that they lost. As we speak now, they don't have, at least in 2015, they managed to get a few seats, both in the National Assembly and State Assembly. But as we speak from 2019 up till now, they don't have any form of representation. So it's a social club. People just feeling fine among themselves.
But should play an opposition necessarily mean you have to have seats at the House first? You could also constructively criticize activities of the government.
No. Listen, if you are functioning as an NGO or civil society organization or social club, yes, we'll understand that. But you can't be one and still call yourself a political party. You're not an opposition political party if you don't have any form of representation, both at the state level, at the local government level, at the federal level. What kind of opposition is
now that you brought that up, I think I should ask a very valid question. Let's take it from this perspective. It would be, for your party, who is the leader of the PDP in Rivers State? Because I'll go back again to, I wouldn't love to bring it up, but it has to come up for the purposes of this conversation. Many feel that the governor should be, but then when we had the conversation of structure that came up, then it brought up another conversation altogether. So who is in charge? Who is the leader of PDP in this part of the country?
The answer is straightforward. There's one leader of the party in the state, and that is the Honorable Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Chief Ian Wike.
So where does that leave the governor? Because many would think when you say this, the question of, is that why the governor said my structure? And it still brings into question the place of the governor then.
The governor is the governor. And by being governor, he becomes part of the highest level of leadership. You see, when we talk about leadership, leader and all of that, it's not one person that leads the party. Yeah. But in the end, it's like I can say that to an extent. I'm a governor, right? Because in the past we used to have a situation where you had commissioners, like federal commissioners, and you had state commissioners and all of that. Yeah, I can, because the power that I enjoy
gives you control over a certain,
yes, as housing commissioner was given to me by the governor. So as I speak with you now, with the governor not being here, I'm governor. But to the extent that my power is delegated, right? I cannot say I'm governor. But I can make certain decisions believing that the governor will ratify it. And that is why it is important that when you are picking people to fill certain positions, you pick people that you believe have the capacity to be able to do even what the governor will do in the absence of the governor. Right? Now, the governor and the leader become the highest level of leadership in the state as far as party structure is concerned. When you move beyond that, you talk about the chairman of the party, right? You talk about at the state level. Then you talk about the chairman of the 23 local government areas. Party chairman, not LGA, not local government council chairman, the party chairman in the 23 local government areas that make up River State. You cascade down further. You talk about the chairman, and each of these chairmen have their executive of the 319 wards that make up River State. When you go down further, you talk about the chairman and the ESCO of the 4,442 electoral units in River State. That is what is called party structure. It is that structure that holds every other thing in the party. And when that structure combines with strategy, combines with climate, the internal climate of the party, the friendship that exists among members of the party, the possibility of party members being on one page and sharing a common vision and purpose. It combines with the reward system. It combines with the decision-making processes. Then you can have a party that is able to win elections.
Does that structure then belongs to one person of the party?
It is the structure of the party.
Who controls it?
No, but the party controls it. Like I said, there is decision-making processes. There are certain decisions that are made at the ward level and transmitted up. There are certain decisions that are made up and transmitted down. The same way you run your organization here in Nigeria Info. The Nigeria Info has a structure, or don't you? You have a structure. You have somebody who is station manager and other people till the last person who works in this organization. And that is how communication flows. That is how responsibility is established. That's how accountability is established, and so on and so forth. That is how people have pockets of influence. There are certain decisions that are made by the station manager and cascaded down. There are other decisions that are made by people down the rung of the ladder and sent up to him for ratification.
But it then brings questions, because for some people at the time, the fact that the minister said my structure.
The people who are saying these things, the people who are thinking that because he said his structure, he said his structure to mean that as the leader of the party,
he put those things in place. Leaders, because he said we're building since 2015.
Leaders create and sustain structures everywhere. It is responsibility, and that's why I tell you, some people have led well and achieved well. Some other people have failed because they were not able to even put in place a structure, let alone sustaining it. And after fizzling out, they now constitute themselves into crisis entrepreneurs, saying all kinds of stupid things. I'm sorry to use that word.
I was about to say that word.
Then yes,
because it's not. Nobody says something
because
stupid.
Some of those things, I don't know how else to describe them. Because ordinarily, if you have energy and you want to talk about issues, you should start with the issues that are important to you. I think for example, talking about my friend Ezekiel, one issue that should be important to him now is how to rebuild his party, the APC. That's what should be important to him. A party that has lost election in 2015 did not participate at all because of issues that could easily have been resolved. They didn't participate in that election.
Well, you were a member of the APC
at that time. Yes,
at that time.
Yes, and I told them that the way you were going to sink.
Okay.
And then they won't listen. 2019 they were not there. 2023 they lost all the seats. And rather than talk about that, you are coming to talk about who is the leader of PDP and all of that. And then the question should even be, who is the leader of APC in Rivers State? He will tell you that it's Amechi. How is Amechi leader of APC in Rivers State?
Well, that's what...
You can't be failing. Leadership is about results. Leadership is about outcomes. You can't fail election in 2019, fail in 2015, fail in 2023, and you remain leader.
People still recognize him as the leader.
Are you listening to me now? If you failed in 2015, failed in 2019, failed in 2023, and you can remain leader, the person who should be removed as leader is the one who won in 2015, won in 2019, and won in 2023. He should be removed so that the man who failed will remain. What are we talking about? We should talk for development.
Well, that will be a party issue for the APC to decide and the PDP to decide.
Sometimes we can also help them to decide.
Many would say, in general terms, in the past, the governor supposed to be the leader, or the most senior party, senior government official who's a member of a party would be the leader of the party. But it seems as though there isn't a pattern or a straightforward way to emerge.
Listen, let me take you down memory lane. We
don't have a lot of time.
Yeah, now
we have to take messages and calls.
Odili was leader of the PDP in 1999. In 2026, 2007, he anointed Amechi to become governor through the party instrument.
So he lost his leadership role there?
He didn't lose his leadership role. But somewhere along the line, Amechi develops K-leg, according to Obasanjo. And Oromeha came in, and then there was this gap between Amechi and Odili, which has remained up to today anyway. And then Amechi becomes governor through the Supreme Court and became leader. At that point, there was no way he could have made reference to Odili because Odili was no longer in the picture. Now, he started as governor, did his first time, got election for a second term, and then somewhere along the line, he parts ways with his chief of staff then. Now,
Tony Okocha, Chief
Yeso Wike. Yes, they part ways, and then he joined the APC. To make a long story short, he joins the APC. The PDP will not be without leadership. Wike emerges as leader of PDP and manages the party to victory in 2015, being the governor and remaining as leader.
But shouldn't those who formed the party in the state at the beginning still be seen as the original leaders of the party?
Leadership is about leading. You don't become leader because they just call you names. You have to lead. That's what I was talking about Amechi before. Amechi is referred to as leader, but should he?
Let's go to the phone lines. Let's take a few calls, few messages. We still have to talk about the plans of government in the housing sector. Very important. On Facebook, Emmanuel says, well, he says it is the man's stomach speaking passionately. Ifeoma says he's repeating what he has said earlier, word for word. This person says, okay, I can't get that part. Okay, Ifeoma, you sent your message double times. All right, this one says, good morning. The man in the studio is loyal to the former governor, not the present governor, without being told. And if the APC is like a social club, why did the social club win the PDP presidential election 2023? KC Boma. Good morning. I feel disappointed with your guest. He's being too defensive, covering up facts. It's not the type to address issues of this nature. Andrew, your guest telling us that the minister is now bigger than the governor because, for what I know, a governor should be the leader of a party and not a minister. I find Chuku Nwodo. Your guest said... Someone says, Andrew, okay. Andrew, is your guest telling us that the minister is now bigger than the governor because, for what I know, a governor should be the leader of the party? I already got that before. Good morning. When rain is about to fall, it gives signs. If you don't know, I don't know what these people still want. Please, Rivers is tired. The so-called structure of one man should be tired too of suffering people. Emmy sent that one. Your guest is just... As just said, the minister is a leader of a party that has a governor. Wonders can never end. Obina from Orazi. It goes on and on. Let's just take a few calls quickly. 0817-923-0003, 0817-923-0007. Toby, good morning to you.
Yes, sir. Andrew, I want to actually find out, the structure of leadership they are talking about. Now, if a governor is there, is he going to be a sub-leader to someone who is no longer on seat? So that's what I want to actually find out. Exactly what is the structure of because if you listen to what a former governor said on the inauguration of the governor, he said, this is our leader till 2007. This is our leader
till 2027.
That is what we heard. So why are we having two leaders? Definitely once you have a two leader, there is going to be a conflict.
Okay.
So I want the man in the studio to really clarify this leadership they're talking about, whether it's writing a new structure, a new law on radio, or that is how it has been existing.
Thank you very much. Chisom in Rumolumeni, good morning.
Andrew, good morning.
Morning, no.
Andrew, I want to commend your guys for clearing the data on air. You see, it's frustrated APC members are not allowed to rest in River State. If they are looking for who to side, they should build their own party and side and look for a leader and side. They are talking about leadership in PDP River State. We know that those who build the parties are those who they refer as leader. Go to Enugu State, Governor Peter Mbai is there, but they still refer to the former governor as the leader because they assume that he's in that build the party there after the former governor, Chimago Kenamani. If you go to Ebonyi, they still refer Dave Umahi as the leader of APC there because before this, the APC could not win an election in Ebonyi State. So when Umahi came into APC, that's when they now won. They still refer him as the leader. That does not mean that in River State here, Fuba is not the leader. Just as I guess I'll say that Fuba is one of the leaders of PDP in River State, just as the minister. So the APC should not come and set confusion. They want to do what they did to their own party.
Okay.
They will not succeed.
Thank you very much. Well said. We'll keep the phone lines open while we await more calls. Let's quickly, you are the Commissioner for Housing, so let's touch on that quickly. What are the plans and what is on ground now that you're Commissioner for Housing? What is the plan of government in that direction? There's been a lot of housing deficit in River State. We know government properties, public housing. The rent prices is just on another level. Are there any plans? Have there been conversations along these lines to see how we can make housing cheap and affordable for Rivers people?
I think you should have started by saying that Rivers State government last week presented to Rivers people or sent to the State House of Assembly 4 different bills, and one of them included the development of new towns in Rivers State and building of new houses. That information is out there already. So we shouldn't be asking what are the plans.
So that's one.
Yes. Now, what you should be asking me is what am I doing as Commissioner of Housing?
Exactly.
Yes. Now, I'm in this office for a period of less than 2 weeks. And during this period, we have had 1 or 2 issues in the state. But I can tell you that since I resumed, I've been doing a lot of consultations, calling for files, examining those files, trying to address the physical environment of work and the social environment of work, trying to see how I can bring everybody in that ministry, especially the management team, to be on one page. If we don't have the right physical and psychosocial environment, we're not likely to be able to do a good job. I'm not a man who believes in telling people very quickly what I want to do, because I believe that success is,
so we'll wait and see.
90% planning and 10% execution. That's what I believe.
Okay.
So a lot of work, but we appreciate the fact that we know what our mandate is to ensure that Rivers people have decent, affordable places of dwelling.
Okay.
And to achieve that, government has a role to play. The private sector has a role to play. Even the people who will use these houses also have a role to play. So I am reviewing what is currently there with a view to building on that to come up with very bold ideas that will bring about the possibility of realizing the closing of the gap that so exists. As we even speak, people talk about gap. How big is this gap? Nobody knows. If you ask now, what is the demand for housing in River State and what's the supply and what's the difference? Nobody knows. These are things that have to be determined. And it is when you have those numbers, the data, that you can now effectively plan and then come up with.
Let's see Cookie Gam in Rumolumeni, and then we get to Muriel in Okrika. Cookie Gam, good morning.
Andrew, good morning.
Yeah, straight to the point.
I want to agree to Dr. Gifwall. Dr. Gifwall, good morning.
Good morning.
Andrew, when Communicate sworn commissioner, he told them they must be loyal to him 100%. Communicate was sworn commissioner. He said they will loyal to him 100%. But today, 7th of November, Dr. Gifwall say he's loyal to the state, not to the governor. Let the person here that Gifwall say he's loyal to the state, not to the governor. Andrew, you see, in Katsina State, the only government that belongs to APC. In Lagos State, the only government belongs to APC. It means no position in Lagos State and in Katsina State. Andrew, you see, listen to Dr. Gifwall. It's loyal to Governor Wike, loyal to Governor Wike. If the way he calls Sim, he does not talk respect to the present governor. He call him Sim, former Sim. He does not have common respect to the governor as a commissioner.
No, Cookie Gam, I think you missed that. Maybe you didn't hear him. He had mentioned the governor of Rivers State. Muriel in Okrika, good morning.
Oh, thank you, Efemi. Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, go on.
Efemi, let me quickly ask your guest about his job. Let me leave politics, please.
Okay.
I want to find out if the compensations they say they will do for this for
Ring
those
Road.
people that they will demolish their houses at the ring road, the roads connecting houses connecting to the ring roads. If the compensations, if they are still doing it, if it's going on. And was it some days I passed through Agri Road? Those houses built by Peter Odili, they are looking so dilapidated. I don't know if those houses were duly allocated or is the Commissioner of Housing, right? Does he have any plans? Are there plans to renovate those houses? They are looking so dilapidated, so old. Thank you, Efemi.
All right, thank you very much. We have a short commercial in less than 2 minutes, but if you can respond to this quickly.
Yeah, I've said that I've just been in the office for a period of 2 weeks, and I'm doing a review of what's on ground. That review will help us to establish the gaps that exist, and then we can now develop plans to fix them. Those houses will be part of what we'll be assessing, and I'm sure that with time, Rivers people will come to know what the plans are and how we're going to execute them.
All right. A short commercial is underway. We'll be taking that one as soon as we return. We'll wrap things up and take a few messages. Greetings. Wike should know that human beings are dynamic in nature. What if those he claims to be structured decides to leave him with his structure? Thank God, Ability at Tuegbu, you sent in that message. And this person says, that is my lecturer speaking. I'm happy he's into governance. Somebody, a student of yours, I'm sure. Okay, after the commercial, we would come back and wrap things up with my guest and take a few more messages. Stay tuned. quickly on the show. Dr. Gift Worlu, the Honorable Commissioner for Housing, Rivers State, is with me in the studio. My name is Ifeemi Andrew. Quickly, Doc, let's go on. One of the callers, and I've seen many messages even here on WhatsApp, people saying, why would you refer to the FCT minister as Honorable Minister of the FCT, but then when you say the name of the governor of Rivers State, you say Sim Fubara, and you refer to him as governor separately when you say governor without his name?
But that's not correct. You already corrected that before.
So I just needed you to address it yourself.
Yeah, it's not correct now. How can I? It goes without saying that I cannot possibly
say Governor Fubara every time.
Yeah, and then is Governor Fubara, right? Is Governor Fubara.
All right.
The truth of the matter is that, you see, there are people who have become so comfortable with misinterpreting things, and they think that they are smart, but they are not. The truth of where we are now is that even Fubara himself, Governor Fubara himself, cannot say that Wike is not the leader of the party.
But that was just when you had said Fubara and then Governor Fubara, so people would now raise those.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Don't go there.
Well, we got the clarity done,
and that is not why we're here. Now, exactly. the other point is that when it comes to Rivers State and what we are doing in Rivers State, it's important that people should allow the governor and all the leaders of the party to focus on the work that is to be done.
Okay.
All these talks about leader and all of that, they are not important. There are very important issues for us to focus on. And like I said, in a party, in any political party, before now we had...
we're already out of time.
Yeah, we had Ahmed
Bola
Tinubu as leader of APC. He's now president of Nigeria and leader of that same party.
All right, Dr. Gift Worlu, but we have to wrap it up. Time is already fast spent. My name is Ifeemi Andrew. The news at 9 is next.
It's 9 o'clock.